So, my guest today has been quietly doing this work for over 25 years, long before children's emotion, well-being became a headline. She is the founder of Relax Kids, and her name is Manetta Vegas. Welcome, Manetta.
Hello.
Now, in 2005, you took an idea to Dragon's Den and were told it didn't make sense. That same idea has since trained over 5,000 teachers and professionals, which means millions of children around the world have learned how to calm their nervous system, manage big feelings, and build confidence. You didn't change the idea, the world caught up to it. So, Manetta, welcome. And for anyone meeting you for the very first time, who are you? And what is the mission you have or you feel most called to now?
I am Manetta from Oxford, UK, and I set up Relax Kids, but I think it was a bit of an accident. But I think now my mission is to help children and adults, particularly now more adults, calm their nervous system and help them relax, feel good in their bodies and their minds. And it's something I've learnt meditation as a 12-year-old from my mother, and in the 70s, 80s, it was weird. And I got laughed at, and we were vegetarian, so we were stereotypical, little bit hippie. But now meditation really has become a thing because this modern world, we've seen that it's so needed. So in 2000, I set up Relax Kids way before there was an issue, way before anyone was meditating. And the way I started it was I noticed a change in children's behaviour. I was a clown in parties for 10 years in the 90s, and I thought, why are they not sitting still and listening to my show? And their concentration was going down, their focus, attention, and so I started bringing meditation stories into my shows, and that is the beginnings of Relax Kids. Yeah.
That's really fascinating. So you've obviously worked with children for decades now, but what have you noticed changed most in children since that first time until now over the years?
So, I mean, looking back now in the late 90s, that was nothing compared to the issues that we have now. When I first started, there was definitely not that we've got so much neurodivergence now, and extreme anxiety, I would say, and it has to be because everything is faster. Everything, and without a doubt, it's since the internet and since tech and devices. Technology has created this, it's almost like an underlying threat to our nervous systems. And for adults and children, we've come far away from nature, although there is a turn now. Everything is slowly going back again. We're realizing, how important nature is. But I mean, I was a student in late 80s, and I remember being in Cardiff in the most beautiful place, not even noticing. I don't think I went to the park once. It's not something that we did as students. And so if you don't have that practice, you don't bring it into your life. But now I do think since that stressy 80s, 90s, noughties, we're now going back to nature, which is such a relief.
I agree with you totally on that one. But you've had a method. It's kind of a simple method, which is you call the 7-step method: movement, breathing, visualization, affirmation, story. Why does this approach work so well for kids?
Yes. So I created this 7-step system. I was a performing artist before becoming a clown, and so I did a degree in performing arts. So I wanted to create a simple way to get children to relax using a little bit of movement and play and stretching and breathing. And I used all the things that I'd learned over the years of going to mime school and drama school and singing, breathing, and I put it together in this very unique and special way, which is that 7-step. And it was only 4 years later that I realised, when I was in Matalan one day in 2004, and I bought a book on the chakras. Now, I didn't know about the chakras then, and I realised this 7-step system follows the chakras. And the chakras it comes from the East, so it's very ancient. You know, they really did understand the mind and body connection. And it is this concept that we have these 7 points of energy in our body, starting from red, which is in the sitting bone, which is all about grounding, then orange, which is all about creativity or sexuality in adults, then the solar plexus, which is yellow, and that's all about feeling very stable and strong, then green, heart chakra, which is love and giving, the throat, which is a light blue, which is communication. Then you've got the third eye and the crown chakra. So I guess in the ancients, they would meditate through these chakras. So I did this system starting with play, move, stretch, breathe, feel, breathe, affirmation, and then relaxation. And it's a way to get children to work through their energy system, through their body, into their heart, and then up into their head. If you say to children, right, everybody lie down on the floor and relax, they find it incredibly difficult. I find the same with mindfulness. If you say, right, everybody, we need to be mindful, it's like going straight into the head. We need to work through the body. And so, yeah, I worked with the chakras. I've not really it's only now that 26 years later, that I'm actually saying we use the chakras. I tell the people that I train that it was an accident. I didn't create it. It just followed that system. And I believe this is why it works, because we're working through children's natural energy system.
Amazing. That's such a colourful little story as well. And when you're training now, you're training teachers, and it's over 5,000 that you've been training. What is the age group of children they're starting at?
Yeah, so there are actually 3 training programs now, and the baby mindful starts with 0. So we've had babies 3 days old, mothers come with their baby, and it's all about helping the mother or the father or both calm their nervous system down. So from 0 to 24 months, and then our Relax Kids starts at toddler up until teen or preteen, and then we have a charge up program for teenagers, which has been used in youth offender prisons. It's been used in inner city places to reduce knife crime. And you have young people come in and go, oh no, I'm not interested in this. And at the end they go, oh, okay, I get it now. And it's so simple. And I remember a long time ago, there was one of my coaches said that there was she was doing a summer school, and there were these teenagers, and she thought, gosh, they're not really going to go for this. And so they worked it to start with, absolutely not interested in relaxing. And then by the end, they were all under their blankets. They loved it. And the queue the next day, because they could choose the options for the relaxation, everybody wanted to do the relaxation. So initially, maybe children are not up for it, but it's almost like once they experience it, once that they're literally, their bodies and minds are craving for it. And I think, we know when we're overtired and restless, we want to tend to stimulate with more coffee or things on to watch. But what we so desperately need is that time and space just to stop. I've started working with women running little mini retreats, and they say, oh, I just need to stop. Sometimes I think I did it this week, and the rain, I was in the studio in the garden, and the rain, it was pouring with rain, so we were just listening to the rain, and I was thinking, oh no, the rain's, it's ruining my plan. And everybody went, oh, this is so lovely. And I thought, okay, let the rain take over, let the plans go out of the window. We just need the simple things in life.
It's a natural element, isn't it? Rain. It's like being by the sea, or
yeah.
Yeah.
It was bliss.
So just going back, you talked about children with neurodiverse issues like ADHD. You support the children with anxiety and other challenges. What do these children need most that's often missing? What do you find is often missing?
I think the main thing is safety. Just feeling, we all want to feel safe. It is the main driving key for a human. And of course, when we were in the jungle, in our ancestors, they had that scary lion or animal, and so everybody's getting into caves. They want to feel safe, and here we don't have that animal out there, but we've got all this tech, all this modern world, which I really truly believe is making us not feel safe. If you think about the buzz, I do remember this so strongly. A yoga teacher told me this, that each time your phone goes off, the buzz, your nervous system does not know the difference between an emergency situation and a text from a friend. And since I heard that, I absolutely turn off all notifications. Because it does mean I miss things, but I just think that is incredible. And think how many buzzes we are hearing daily, emails, phones. And I actually notice when I'm with a group of people and people's phones are buzzing and going off and all the different cacophony of ones that you can choose, that is having an effect. I feel the effect. I just jerk each time. And so children are hearing this. You think about the school buzzer is quite loud. And so it's about that safety. So ideally, having a little bit of quiet, having some space, having comfort is what all children need. When I started Relax Kids, I didn't set it up for any particular type of children. It was for all children. And as time went on, we had more and more families and teachers working with children with neurodiversities come to us and having an amazing results. Even children who were selective mute, not being able to speak because they're so shut down and so traumatized, starting slowly by the end of a class to start to speak. So just that safety, yeah.
That's rewarding as well for you to see that happening.
Absolutely,
I would imagine.
amazing, yes.
Yeah. And we're raising children as well designed to hook attention. I mean, that's our big concern as a parent. And the impact this is having on our children's nervous system and the emotional regulation. And my son, Alexander, who's now nearly 28, he actually, I think it was lockdown, decided to turn his phone off for a week. And he said at that end of that week, wow, I got my life back. I feel like I can do more things. I can think differently. And so he has a tendency now to switch all those notifications off purely by, he taught himself. So it's tough for parents to take people's phones away or their kids' phones because they feel very addicted to them. I can see that issue. And I've actually worked with some that have said to me, can you help my kids get off the phone? But there's that social pressure.
It's very worrying. There's an amazing book, The Anxious Generation, which goes into this in a lot of detail with some support for parents. So I would definitely recommend parents get hold of that book. It's very popular in America now, because we're in a war against tech now, because the giants of tech are wanting us to be hooked. And we know children's brains are so, we're hooked as adults unless we really, like your son, make a concerted effort, and our brains are fully developed. But children's brains are not fully developed. And so on every level, tech is really bad news. And so, yeah, you can see the extreme panic and anxiety and anger that comes out when there was a video I saw, it must have gone viral, of a mother showing her home. She had just taken the iPad away from her 10-year-old and everything had been smashed up in her home. And it was like, wow, okay. So it's really, really hard. And I think it has to come from, maybe those moments before bed, or those moments that you can of tech free time, and build on those and get into nature more. And because we know our bodies are nature, and we are craving nature. And it's a little bit like the thing I mentioned before. When we're so tired, we still want to be, oh, I don't want to miss anything of the party. And I feel that's what tech is like. We don't want to miss. I remember when I had, Twitter. I had friends who were so addicted to Twitter because they didn't want to miss anything in that feed. And that was mild compared to what we have now.
No, exactly. So just turning the clock a little bit here, we've got that outside influence of telephones and all these algorithms and that side coming in with the children. But when I'm working with adults, I work with women about 40, 50 that are struggling maybe with something like anxiety or burnout. And we take them back to the root cause. And I find some of it is learned behaviour from the parents. Do you ever see anything similar with the kids?
Yes. I think children are, as I mentioned, they are sponges, but they're also mirrors. And children are mirroring back our anxiety, or the world's anxiety. And so the first thing we can do is just look at how can I work on my own regulation. Having practiced meditation since I was little, one thing that I've noticed and I've heard, that when people do meditate, that there is a ripple effect on others. And so if parents can try and have some time first thing and last thing each day, just to work on just that little bit of inner quiet, inner stillness, and then just start noticing step by step the effect that may have on the children. It has to come from ourselves, because if you think about it, so many times I've seen it when parents go, she's not relaxed, she's not calm, she's doing this and she's doing this, and I'm looking at a very stressed parent, and we can't expect children with their limited development to take on this new thing if we're not doing it.
Exactly. Now, I am a great believer when parents heal their own trauma, it will help then with their kids, because if they identify their traumas and understand their issues, the child is not going to copy that or pick that up.
Having like regular family time that away from tech. And I remember a friend of mine, they had a tradition every Christmas Eve that the family would come together, two girls, her husband and wife. They would come together and they would sort of almost like they would make a little circle. They would say their gratitude, what went well that year. They'd make a plan for the new year, play all these lovely, lovely games, say each other's qualities, those sorts of things. And the girls would say into their teenage years that was out of the whole of Christmas, that special hour was the best time, because it's real connection, and it's that our nervous systems are talking everyone's relaxed, and then everybody can really relate to each other on a deep level. And this is what Relax Kids does, really. We're showing parents, we're showing families how they can do these steps together. They can relax together at bedtime. But there was an 18-year-old boy who was going for his first job interview, and he was the son of my friend. Anyway, he had done Relax Kids since he was little, since he was 4. And my friend introduced me, and he said, oh my goodness, I still do those exercises now before I go into an interview or any stressful situation. So starting young, you can never start too young. It's so important. Yeah.
Oh, that I agree, and it's magical. Just to hear that, I used to have was it CDs when I first met you, which was 20 years ago at a course in London, and I got some of your CDs, and I used to let Alexander listen to them as a kid, and I said to him, "What do you remember?" He goes, "Yes, I remember Relax Kids, Mum." So yeah, I think it does have a wonderful impact. To start, it's like anything. You start training or you're learning some skill.
And also, that I remember doing a class once, and nobody turned up but a mother and a 4-year-old. And I thought, oh gosh, nobody's turned up to this class. Never mind, I'll carry on. And she said, maybe he was 5, and she said he's having extreme concentration issues. So can you do something for concentration? And this is 20 years ago, and I remember, or 18, 15 years ago, I remember that class to this day. And then I met this mother and young son, and he was going for Oxford. And she said he still remembered that was the beginning of his concentration and focus doing Relax Kids. And he went to Oxford. Yeah. So little tiny things. So I could have just written that off as, oh, that was an unsuccessful class. But that was one child that I made a huge difference to. And that's what Relax Kids is. It's making little differences to millions of children in whatever way.
So if there's a parent out there now listening and feels worried about their child right now, what is one gentle thing they could start doing this week?
Yeah. The one thing that we will have all our life, even if everything else falls apart, is the breath. So just to breathe, slow breaths, and then notice if, while you're with your child, notice if you can, without saying anything, just keep breathing, and hopefully their breath will start to match yours. So that would be the one thing. Yeah. And the second thing would be to get out in nature. Yeah. And if it's the summer, feet on the ground, shoes off, and plug into nature outside. Even in the winter, if you've got a patch of grass, that would be a lovely thing for parents to do, just to feel that ground. Again, that's another thing we've done in this modern world. We've concreted our gardens so it's easy to look after. So there's no grass, no mud, no weeds.
So just going back, you've trained over 5,000 teachers and reached millions of children worldwide. What does that mean to you, knowing how many lives this has worked and touched?
Yeah, it's all quite overwhelming in that I had no idea that when I first started, my mother gave me money to buy a flat in London, and I used it to make CDs with no idea of what I was actually doing, no business sense really, just followed step by step. And I feel very grateful to all the coaches I've trained. Yeah, I think it's more like 6,000 now, from 52 countries, and they're all on the front line in schools doing incredible work. And so I feel very proud of them, and I feel grateful in a way that I've been given this opportunity, and grateful to my mum for giving me that money, or myself really, that I didn't put it down to get a flat. Because if I had, then I would, yes, I'd have a flat. but I wouldn't have done this work. So I'm grateful that I just followed my intuition, and I did that to help, because I also do believe that the best life is when we have a life of service to others, and when we're helping. It's not just about me and my house and making my life perfect. It's about what we can do for others, and that brings a sense of real joy and happiness, that you know that you're making an impact in whatever way, little or big. Yeah.
Okay. And just going backwards to 2005, when you were actually on this Dragon's Den, and it was your idea was misunderstood. Now, I watched it a couple of days ago just to remind myself how it was for you. But looking back for you now, what does that moment mean to you when you look back at that, presenting that idea and looking at where you've come now?
Yeah, I think that moment is a really interesting one, because I realise now that how ahead of the time I was, and I was too ahead of the curve. I saw another Dragon's Den last year, and it was the lady dragon, and she said, if you were the second. It was very strange. She said, if you were the second person to come with a business like this, I would back it. But you're the first, so I'm not. And what she meant was, it's too ahead of the zeitgeist. And Relaxed Kids, in a way, was too ahead. So when I literally remember being at these Mind, Body, Spirit exhibitions, and parents and teachers saying, why do children need to relax? The dragons, why do children need to relax? We would just laugh. And yet it has now become a huge industry, because children do need to relax. So yeah, looking back, I feel it couldn't have been any different. It couldn't have, it had to be this way. But I feel very pleased that I just stuck with it, because I'm telling you now, there are so many times over this 26 years that I have wanted to give it up, because it's hard work when you're bashing against brick walls. Yeah.
I can imagine doing a meditation. Now, I've got a copy of a book that I found in Covent Garden. I was at the Mind, Body and Spirit shop, and I remember thinking I'd met you. It was over 20 years ago, we were discussing earlier. And I picked it up because I thought, okay, I want to have a copy of this book. And it's beautiful. I mean, the illustrations, but all the meditations. As an adult, you can read them, and it's nice to read and relax too. But when did you actually bring this book out?
Yeah, so The Wishing Star, got a lovely little story. I think I wrote The Wishing Star and Aladdin's Magic Carpet around either I think it was 1999. And I was on a meditation retreat in India, and we do meditation at 4 a.m, and then afterwards have a cup of chai, and I was just writing, and I was writing all the meditations, and in just a few mornings I wrote all these meditations, and I put them away, because I thought, oh, okay, I'll just put those away. And a friend of mine said, let's type them up. I'll type them up for you. And then I got the book. I sent it off to a load of publishers, and one publisher took it up, and he said, but this is 2 books. So he split the meditations, and it was Aladdin's Magic Carpet, which was all the fairy stories turned into meditations, and then Wishing Star, which were different type of more grounding and creative visualizations. And that book was out in 2003, and that was the beginning of the CDs were out at the same time, and that was the beginning of really building the business. From 2000, I was doing the classes in my flat, and then started to grow those, and then 2005 started training. So yes, that book you have there was absolutely the beginning. Since there are 20 books now, and the main thing behind the books is I'm looking at creative ways to get children to relax. So there's one called The Imaginarium, which is yes, the Imaginarium, getting it muddled up, is for teens. And there are different chambers in the mind, and each chamber they can walk into a door and they can right and left swipe thoughts and do very technological things. And then there's the Dream Machine, which is like an adventure book. So it's a meditation where they make up their own meditation story, and there are 100,000 combinations of them. So all the way, the idea is just to engage children, to engage their creativity, to help them relax their mind.
So just going back to any parents that are listening, what would you say to them now for their first steps of, should they go and buy a book, CD? Should they check out if there's something in their area, or can they do anything online?
Yes, I would suggest definitely, if you want to do something, start with relaxation in the evening, or some after school, or some time before bed, whether it's an MP3 or getting one of the books, and they are for all different ages, and just spending time together. And then I found some of the older ones will just start reading the books to themselves, but initially you read them and do it together as a group. And if there is a class near you, check out the website, check out Relax Kids classes near me, and definitely that would be ideal. Ideal situation would be a child doing Relax Kids at night, sometimes even in the morning, in school, because we have a school Karma Class toolkit. So tell your teacher you need the Karma Class toolkit, because they need the brain breaks during the school day, because otherwise it's just layer upon layer of stress. So we're just trying little stops as the days go on. I remember, I'll quickly say this, the school near us burnt down, so all the children had to go to a meditation centre while the school was being sorted. And it's all ages, 60 of them. And this meditation centre does a traffic control. Every hour the music goes on and everyone stops for a minute. And the children found that incredibly difficult every hour. By the end of the 2 weeks, every single child, from the little ones to the older ones, said that was the best bit, stopping every hour. And the teachers noticed a huge improvement in their work. And also, there were no buzzing. So, so this is what children's mind needs. So to have a weekly Relax Kids session with a coach, daily practice, morning and the evening, and then these little snacks in the day. That would be and we have children who have that, and my goodness, has it made a difference to their lives? Yeah.
Can you imagine? I mean, I was throwing a question there saying, when you imagine these children growing into adults, what do you hope they will carry with them because of the work you're doing?
Oh, just that ability to calm their mind, to calm their nervous system. Being able to calm your nervous system and manage your emotions now in this world is probably a skill that is going to be the most vital skill, especially in the technological world that we are entering. I do not understand why maths and English is still, it is important, of course, but why these soft skills are not at the top of the agenda, because it's just the most vital thing for adults. Because if we enter the new world, if our children enter the new world with these skills, it's going to make a huge difference.
Absolutely agree. Manetta, thank you so much for joining us. And I would just say to anybody who would like to find out more information, go to her webpage, relaxkids.com, where I think you'll find everything. And I know there's one question I'd love to ask you. When you're not involved with Relax Kids, okay, and your mind is switching off, what is it you go and do in your part-time world, in your off the work mode?
Off the work mode. Okay, so can I say a few things? And it's all related, because my main thing is creativity. So as you can see with the books, it's all about creativity. So I've been putting on children's pantomimes for 25 years for charity. And so I always put on Christmas shows. And I've started doing the last couple of years stand-up comedy as well. So creating very funny characters, but with a little bit of a twist, with some sort of meaning, and I do that at retreats. I also run little mini retreats for women to come and just relax. And I love swimming, outdoor cold water swimming, although I have chickened out this winter. So, but I will start in the spring again. But yeah, those are the things I love, love, love doing.
Well, again, Manetta, thank you so much. And maybe we can do another show later, but I welcomed you and I really appreciate having this wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
And I hope the parents out there have got something from this too.